What's going on, RC Racing World? With the racing at round number 3 at Island Raceway taking off today, they're in Muscatine, Iowa. We have to finish recapping RC1, and up next is the two-wheel drive mod class. Now, if you haven't already checked out our two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive spec recaps, as well as our four-wheel drive spec recap, go check those out after this video, because then you'll have a great idea of just how difficult this RC1 track was. And you thought that four-wheel drive mod was exciting and delivered drama, the two-wheel drive modified class somehow managed to take things up a notch. We had 3 different TQs, a controversial B-main finish that was reversed after a protest. We had a world champion forcing an A3 and A2, and another impressive performance by Daniel Kobovic from Norway. Let's get into it. On Friday night, going into qualifying after seeding, it was Brock Chaplin. He was the top seed, and he followed that momentum, grabbing the TQ in Q1. Chaplin put together the fastest runs and looked absolutely posed and poised in the two-wheel drive class. Rounding off the top 3 after Q1, it was Team Associated Hot Race driver Aidan Horn in second, followed by his Hot Race teammate on the X-Ray chassis, Chase Lemieux, who looked very fast and was impressive in four-wheel drive. So after round 1, it was Brock Champlin on top in the Schumacher car with the JConcepts tires, and then we waited for Saturday. When racing resumed Saturday morning, Daniel Kobovic looked like a completely different driver. After finishing 6th in Q1 on Friday, the Norwegian and the Schumacher team had clearly found something overnight, whether it was changes to the car, better understanding of the track, or simply getting more comfortable, or maybe just getting some rest after being jet-lagged. Kobovic came out swinging in Q2. He put together a confident TQ run and immediately put himself back in the fight for the overall TQ.
Yeah, I started a bit rough, lacking some steering compared to four-wheel drive, so it takes some time to get used to it. Like in Europe, we drive two-wheel drive and then four-wheel afterwards, right? Here it's like always a switch. But yeah, I got into the rhythm and had a real nice run. And then on the last lap, yeah, was not that well. So I was like wondering what lap time those guys did. But yeah, overall a really good run, and yeah, just tried to get some more steering, and then I'm happy.
His Schumacher teammate, Brock Champlin, stayed there right in second, while the 2023 IFMAR two-wheel drive world champion, Tater Sontag in the X-Ray on the Promotion tires, was in third. Now things were getting interesting. 2 rounds in, we had 2 different TQs. Everything was coming down to a Q3, just how we like it. And Q3 did not disappoint. The story of Q3 belongs to Shim Shady Brennan Schimmel. He had a DNF in Q1, which led him way down in 37th after Q1. And while he improved to 9th in Q2, he still needed a huge run if he wanted a chance of salvaging his qualifying effort. Well, that's exactly what he delivered. Schimmel drove one of the best runs of qualifying and grabbed the TQ by less than 1/10 of a second over Daniel Kobovic. Think about that for a second. A driver who was 37th after the opening round suddenly found himself on a TQ run and right back in the conversation. That's why we raced all 3 rounds. When qualifying was wrapped up, we had Daniel Kobovic securing the overall TQ, Brock Champlin was starting second, Aidan Horn lined up third, Tater Sontag in fourth, and that first place finish actually bumped Schimmel up to 5th. Before we go onto the A-main, we need to talk about one of the craziest moments that happened the entire weekend. The B-main drama. Tom Rinnick, the Schumacher JConcepts driver, was one of those drivers having a hard weekend. Schumacher's Tom Rinnick found himself 11th after a rough start to qualifying. He had a DNS in Q1, he salvaged a Q3 run, but it was just not enough to get him straight into the main. So he would have to bump up from the B. Most people kind of expected Tom to comfortably make the main, but with this track causing so much problems in DNS and DNFs, he was one of the drivers to suffer from that. The B-man would not disappoint. We had the X-Ray driver, Juan Lopez. He's a wily veteran from New York, always coming to these races. He's kind of a I wouldn't even say semi-pro. He's like a privateer racer who can compete with these guys and make A finals. He was in the yellow and black X-Ray versus Tom in the red and white Schumacher. both on JConcepts tires. They were absolutely flying and put on a show. It was such a show, it came down to the final lap. As the race entered the closing stages, Lopez and Reedy were battling wheel for the transfer position. Remember, there's only one bump-up spot in the mod class. The lead changed multiple times. Neither driver was backing down. And then after all of that, it came down to the final lap. Coming across the line, there was big contact. Tom tried to jump over Juan Lopez and actually hit him, flipping his car upside down. Remember that. That's a big point. As they came across the line, everybody was celebrating because Tom thought he finally got that transfer spot after a very hard weekend.
Up and over that quad they go. Juan Lopez driving very well right now. And there we go. It's coming. Oh, Tom almost gets by. Can't make it stick. One more lap to come. Lopez holding his ground, cases the quad. Great turn, Marshall. And that is going to give us one more lap. Juan going to have to send it. And he does. I missed it. I couldn't see what happened. He landed on top of him, apparently. And Tom going to the inside, on the outside. Who's it going to be? It's going to be, wow! Tom Renderneck. I guess that final could kind of sum up your weekend. It's been very hard.
Yeah, it's been difficult. I've been struggling quite a lot, especially with the two-wheel drive. Had a DNF early on, and I'm just struggling for comfort out there. Had a good race with my buddy Juan, though. Yeah, I had no idea what to say, but yeah, probably need to make some changes for the main there. Yeah, it's just really difficult.
Man, what an amazing finish. I thought it was over many times in that last lap, but resilience, sending it at the end, man, brilliant, excellent. Congratulations.
Thanks.
As I like to say, he was rejoicing, but later on, he will also feel the pain of defeat. Juan Lopez right now, probably a little bit miffed, goes back and looks at the video evidence and sees that he actually did come across the line first. Let's take that video back and look at it slowly, because this actually went for a video review by the RD. As you can see right here, Juan Lopez actually does come across the line first. The only problem is that his transponder, like most of us, is in the front of the car. Now, Tom's transponder comes across the line first, but in actuality, you can see that the rear of Juan's car comes across the line first. Yes, Tom technically won the race according to scoring, but if you really check it, Juan's car is ahead. He was knocked upside down by the hit from Tom, and you can clearly see that Juan's car is coming across the line. So he presented this evidence to Lance. Lance looked at it and actually reversed the decision. So we went from Tom rejoicing and having some much needed relief of making the A final. That snatched away from him, and Juan Lopez moved up to the A final. And honestly, I think this was only the fair decision. Now, if we had two bumps, I'm pretty sure we would have bumped both of them, but this is what we liked. Great racing. It was to the end, and one of the camps is not going to be happy. And that happened to be the Schumacher camp of Tom Renderneck. So now the grid was set as we look at the people who qualified, and Juan Lopez will be joining everybody there in the A final. Well done to Juan. I'm sure all of New York was happy for him. This guy works hard, man. He's at these races. He's putting in work. He's that privateer. Yes, of course he gets some help, but he's not getting paid to do this on a living, and he's still able to compete with these guys to an extent. Well done, Juan Lopez, on making the A and protesting that, because that's exactly what protests are for. But what it did do was add some excitement. You could hear the crowd going crazy, added some drama. This is the type of stuff that we like. This is why we like series, hard racing, seeing it even in the B-Man. With that one bump on the line, it's going to make for a lot of exciting racing. Let's have a look at the starting grid before they go. Obviously, we had Daniel Kobovic, Brock Champlin, Aiden Horn, Tater Sontag, and Brendan Schimmel, your top five, followed by X-Ray's Chase Lemieux. Lemieux not having the same success that he had in four-wheel drive. Davey Bada in a quiet seventh. Dakota Fenn once again near the back of the pack in eighth. Ryan Cavallari in ninth. And Nate Sutherland in his fresh year of mod making the A final in two-wheel drive. Well done, Nate. Let's get into the A finals. A1 got off to a fairly clean start. Daniel Kobovic jumped out front immediately and started doing what he had done all weekend long. Drive smooth, drive smart, and limit mistakes. Behind them, Brock Champlin, Aidan Horn, Chase Lemieux were all battling for position. Then came one of the biggest moments of the race. With about 2.5 minutes remaining, Champlin and Lemieux tangled coming off the step-up jump.
Brock learns since he senses the urgency, wants to get by Kobovic, but he is bringing Aidan Horn and Chase Lemieux in tow. So we have two Schumachers fending off and associated, and a great pass by Aidan Horn, and a lambasting by Chase Lemieux on Brock Champlin. Brock will not be happy about that.
It was one of those racing incidents that completely changed the complexion of the race. Suddenly, Aidan Horn found himself with a clear shot at Kobovic. And give Aidan some credit. He pushed hard, very hard. Lap after lap, he chipped away at the gap. The pace was there. The pressure was there. But Daniel never cracked. Other than a couple mistakes in traffic, he stayed in control and secured an A1 victory. Aidan Horn, who had incredible pace, but just couldn't push it enough and not make mistakes. That was his issue. Kind of like Schindler in four-wheel drive. Had the pace, but couldn't stop making mistakes. Daniel had the pace, but would make minimal mistakes. So he was rewarded with the win. Smart driving by Daniel once again, and great driving by Aidan to pressure him. Aidan would finish in second, followed by Davey Botta, probably one of his best runs all weekend, his team-associated teammate. Tater Sontag would finish in fourth. Brock Champlin recovered to fifth. After that lambasting by Chase Lemieux, he was not happy, and rightfully so. I'm sure they had a few words, but they didn't let it get to him too much.
Tensions are high. Tensions are high. Not for Daniel Kobovic, because he just won his A1.
Yeah, I started out a bit slow and had the train behind me. But then, the guys did some mistakes in behind, and I got into my rhythm, so that was really nice.
Then you made a mistake there in that last lap. Yeah. I thought Aidan didn't get by, but he had just got by on the loop, so.
Yeah, I had let's say 2 or 3 meters to Aidan, the last minute. So I was managing the gap, and then I touched the pipe on after the straight, and yeah, was close. You never know what will happen on this track, but yeah, really happy with the first leg in both classes.
This A1 victory by Daniel Kobovic will put him in the driver's seat. All he needed was one more win to wrap this up. A2 was up next, and honestly, this might have been the best race all weekend. The first half of the race looked like a Kobovic victory parade. He led up front, followed by Aidan Horn and Tater Sontag in third. Everything looked under control while Aidan and Tater battled out behind him. Then, around the halfway point, Aidan made a mistake on the quad. That opened the door for Tater Sontag. And once Tater got into second, the race completely changed. Now, it was the 2023 two-wheel drive world champion, Tater Sontag, chasing down Daniel Kobovic. The gap started shrinking. The pressure started building. Every lap mattered. Every corner mattered as well. The two traded small mistakes. One driver would gain a few tenths, then the other would respond. Neither could break free. As the final lap began, Kobovic still had the lead. Then came the mistake. A small bobble, just enough, and Tater capitalized instantly.
Tater Sontag right behind Kobovic as they come down to cover Pellegrosso into that quad. And, Kobovic getting a little bit wonky. They're going to get by for one more lap. Both of them. And one more lap. Schimmel. Tater having a look on the inside. Can't make it stick. Great driving by Tater as a bobble by Kobovic. Going to give this to Tater. Can Kobovic hang on? Oh, no! Kobovic sends it. And it's going to be Tater Sontag taking the win, making this go to an A3.
Tater took over the lead and never looked back. He crossed the line first and forced an A3. What a drive! And honestly, this is exactly why world champions are world champions. When the opportunity presented itself, Tater took advantage.
Great drive, by the way.
Thank you.
You had some good runs coming off this step up. You drove very clean. You let on the brakes. You just applied pressure. Kobovic made that bobble, and just an excellent drive to take that win.
Yeah, it's been great. My two-wheel's been amazing all week. I just kind of didn't find a flow in qualifying, kind of on me, just making dumb little mistakes. So A1, I crashed on the first lap, but kind of locked in here for A2 and was able to stay close and followed Daniel really close. I kind of knew in the sweeper I kind of had a little bit more steering than him, so I kind of knew that was going to be my chance, and I snuck it in there. Wasn't able to make the pass, but luckily made a small bobble on the next one and was able to get it done.
There you go, and now we have an A3, and you can take the overall Congratulations on taking the A2 win and good luck in A3.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Alrighty. Good job, man. That was excellent.
And now we had exactly what we wanted. We had an A3 to decide everything with a fast Tater Sontag and a fast Aiden Horn. And sprinkle in a little bit of Brock there, it's going to make for a mixture. One final race to decide the overall outcome. Let's get into A3. At the start of A3, Daniel Kobovic got another great start and quickly settled into the lead. For the first few minutes, it looked like Kobovic had everything in control, complete control. Then a mistake in the quad happened. Suddenly, Aiden Horn and Brennan Schimmel got by, and they were rapid.
A mistake by Kobovic is going to allow Aiden Horn by and Schimmel. So, Aiden Horn is in first, but his time right now is not enough to beat Kobovic's. But he's not far off it.
Just like that, the pressure was on Kobovic. Aiden moved into the lead, Schimmel sat second, and Kobovic dropped to third. But if there's one thing we've learned about Daniel Kobovic, it is he doesn't panic and he regrouped. He got back around Schimmel and started chasing down Horn. Aiden Horn had to really get out there and push because he had to have a better win time than Kobovic. So not only was he trying to beat Kobovic on the track, he was trying to beat Kobovic by time. So he was pushing really hard. Aiden had the pace. When you push that hard, you make mistakes. And then that mistake came for Aiden on the quad, and Daniel moved back to the lead.
But right now, overall, the tiebreaker will be a 22-5-11 to Aiden Horn's 22-5-12-1. Mistake by Aiden Horn, and Kobovic is back in front. That won't matter now because Kobovic is in the lead with 1 minute and 49 seconds left to go.
Now, Horn was the hunter, and Kobovic was being hunted. As the race entered into the final minute, Horn clipped the pipe and collected Brennan Schimmel.
Knows the slower this goes, the better it is. Oh, no. And there's Schimmel. I don't think Schimmel could have avoided that.
Now, the incident, if you look at it, it looks like Horn tried to go on the inside, just cut it too much, clipped the pipe, and then hit Schimmel. I don't really blame Horn, and I don't blame Schimmel, but Kobovic loved it because then he had some clear air in front of him, and he pulled away from, at that time, was his two fiercest competitors. But the race was still not over. While everybody watched the Brennan Schimmel and Horn incident, Brock Champlin actually slipped on by and got into second. And guess what? Brock was rapid. The gap was shrinking. The pressure was on. But Daniel managed to hold off a very hard-charging Brock Champlin, who was also very desperate for a win after having a very, very bad four-wheel drive. He was definitely better in two-wheel drive, but he wanted this victory bad. At least take one of the A1s and take a victory home. Brock really put the pressure on, but at the end of the race, it would be Daniel Kobovic coming across the line first and winning the two-wheel drive leg of the INS. So that's great for Daniel. He came over and won four-wheel drive overall, and now he takes the two-wheel drive title as well. Let's hear from Daniel.
Well done, Daniel. Coming over to the USA, taking home 2 victories. Well done.
Yeah, it can't be better than that, right? So really happy with that. Did a small change for the last aim in here now to get some more speed. Felt like I was missing something in A1 and A2, even though I got the 1 and the 2. I had some consistency, but yeah, Aiden and Tater was really quick. But now, yeah, the car was really good, really happy. My Schumacher rides with Hobbywing electronics and EM batteries, JConcepts tires, and Power HD0 have been amazing.
So how did you enjoy your time doing the INS here, besides taking the 2 victories?
It's been really cool. So different to Europe. I like that the track is really difficult. It's tough for the car, tough for the head, and yeah, but it's really great to be here with the US people. It's more banter in the pits here and having fun with all the different teams, so that's really good. So I'm really happy that I could come over, and thanks a lot to Jason as well.
So I guess we'll see you at Ireland, I think you said?
Yeah.
Well, that would be good, and good luck to the next race you're going to, and thank you for coming over and racing with us, and congratulations.
To you too, thank you.
This was another huge performance for the Norwegian. After the dust settled in A3, it was Daniel on top, followed by Brock Champlin in second and Brennan Schimmel in third. A Schumacher sweep in A3. As we look at our overall, it's Daniel Kobovic on front, Tater Sontag in second. Great weekend for Tater coming out of RC1. Aiden Horn will have to settle for third. Still a very good weekend. Brennan Schimmel in fourth. Brock Champlin in fifth. Not where he wants to be, but that's where he'll end up this weekend. Davey Bada quietly in sixth. We expect more from Bada. I'm expecting Bada to be up here battling for these wins, especially at all these races, not just the dirt races, because he's that caliber racer. Not the best weekend for Davey Bada. Chase Lemieux, who shined in four-wheel drive, finishes seventh here in two-wheel drive, followed by Ryan Cavallari on the one-up car. Dakota Fenn at his home track just kind of caps off his weekend, finishing in ninth. And then we had Nate Sutherland in 10th, as well as Juan Lopez in 11th. That's your final running order overall for the two-wheel drive class. Let's have a look at the manufacturers and what they did as well. Looking at the manufacturers, RC1 was a huge weekend for Schumacher and JConcepts. After X-Ray and Hot Race controlled much of the conversation at trackside in round one, Schumacher answered right back. Daniel Kobovic making the trip over from Europe and immediately establishing himself as the driver to beat. It was just impressive by Kobovic and brings that win for Schumacher and JConcepts. Kobovic swept both modified classes. The new JConcepts purple compound carpet tire looked great. The Schumacher car looked great. They had Trish there. It just looked like they were gelling as a team. Friday wasn't the best for them. The team hung around. It was good for Brock, but it seems like the team found something the next day, which was great. And I've seen this happen with the Schumacher team at other events. X-Ray wasn't far behind. Tater picked up a huge A2 win in two-wheel drive, and Chase was super fast in four-wheel drive. Dakota Fenn, the veteran and top driver from X-Ray, had moments of speed. I think third was his best position, but it just wasn't his weekend. It was like this last year as well. It's his home track, but it seems to be one of Dakota Fenn's kryptonites. Meanwhile, the Team Associated team relied heavily on Aiden Horn and Davey Bada. They didn't send Spencer Rivkin this weekend, and to be honest, it was pretty much Aiden Horn flying the Team Associated banner. I already talked about Bada. I think he should have done better, but Aiden Horn was the toast of the town in the Associated camp. Aiden's going to have to limit those mistakes when he goes to Ireland and see if he can get a victory. He's doing quite good in the points, actually. I hope that Team Associated kind of brings Rivkin. I like when they have the whole team here. Rivkin's kind of like that glue that keeps the whole team together. And of course, Bada and Horn will be looking for some revenge. They've just kind of, the Associated team is used to winning. So they're going to want to get a win at Ireland. Those were the only three cars in this A final. So that's the only three cars I can talk about. We had the ProMotion tires doing quite well with Tater there. He's the only one running them. So we see right now the three chassis battle between X-Ray, Schumacher, and Team Associated. And then the tire battle is mostly between JConcepts, Hot Race, and Matrix. But throw in ProMotion and throw in TZO with drivers like Dominic Passioni, and they're making a big push in the 10-scale world, and I'm sure they will continue to do that. Let's have a look at the overall points. Heading into Island Raceway, it's Aiden Horn who sits on top with 197 points. Despite not winning either round, a second-place finish at trackside and a third-place finish at RC1 have him leading the championship points. Well done, Aiden. Just 2 points behind him is his Hot Race tire teammate Chase Lemieux in the X-Ray. Chase leaves RC1 with 195 points. After sweeping both modified classes at trackside, a 7th place finish at RC1 wasn't what he was hoping for, but he's still firmly in the title fight. Third, it's Brock Champlin with 191 points. The results haven't been spectacular yet, but he's improved from 6th at trackside to a 5th at RC1 and remains right in the hunt. Dakota Fenn sits in 4th with 190 points. RC1 simply wasn't his weekend. After a podium finish at trackside, a 9th place finish leaves him looking for a bounce-back performance at Island Raceway. Let's have a look at the rest of the top 10. Behind Dakota Fenn, we have Brendan Schimmel with 187. He's tied with Ryan Cavallari for 187 as Cavallari is in 6th. Despite not making the A final, Tom Rennenek currently 6th and 7th with 186. David Bada also in 8th with 186. Then we have Alex Vanderbeek with 177 points in 9th. Brett Delkey rounds out your top 10. That's impressive. Brett Delkey is just doing this for track time. Daniel Kobovic currently sits in 14th with 101 points. Going into Ireland, Daniel is going to look to take maximum points in this class and full drive. He's looking for a TQ, which will give him 1 point, like it did here, as well as a win, which will give him 100 points. So he leaves RC1 with maximum points. Will he be able to get maximum points or at least get more points than Aiden and take over the lead here in both two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive? We'll find out at the end of the weekend as Ireland is ramping up to be a very pivotal point in the points for a lot of these guys. And it looks like a lot of big names are showing up in both the mod class as well as the spec class. Here's my final thoughts on the INS series so far in 2026. After doing the complete series in 2025, I'm really impressed with some of the changes that have been made. We got 2 rounds in and the racing has been exciting. I know I haven't mentioned much of the Indy class, the 40 plus class, and the 2 truck classes. I'm going to do a separate video breaking that down here later on. But with the 2 double mains, I have to admit, it has been some great racing. You have the guys that win the first A final, and then because these tracks are inside and everything pretty much stays the same, we're seeing people winning from the A2, which is great. It's much better giving these guys double A finals instead of having them waiting around doing nothing. Now, the series heads to Isle Raceway for the final corporate race of the INS season. Can Aiden Horn finally turn his consistency into victory? Can Chase Lemieux bounce back after a difficult weekend in two-wheel drive? Will we see Tater Sontag build momentum and get an overall victory here in the INS, which would be great? I personally think that A2 victory for Tater was probably one of the biggest victories he's had in a long time. Can Brock put it together after a so-so weekend at RC1? And perhaps the biggest question of all, can anyone stop Daniel Kobovic? We'll find out this weekend. Island Raceway is up. It looks great. Follow all the action on Elite RC Productions. Don't forget to hit that sub-like notification button. I'll be doing some more recaps next week of Island Raceway as well as the Indy and other classes. Thank you for watching. We greatly appreciate it. Big shout out to everybody. Good luck to everybody this weekend. Have fun. And I'll be following all the action. Hope you guys do enjoy these short recaps. We need you guys to share them out to all your Facebook groups. Get those algorithms going and let's get those views up. Also, a big shout out to all the sponsors that make this possible. I've left links for them in the written description. They support the INS. I've also left links for the NNRC as well. We greatly appreciate you guys' support. We're almost at 10,000 subs. Help us get there. Lefty is out. It's time for some 10 scale racing this weekend.